Don't let this happen to you. And of course that first clip there, that might be a sign of things to come. That was up in the Atlanta area here recently. We were doing some traveling and found it to be true what was talked about on the news as far as gas shortages at a lot of stations and things like that. A person looking to prepare for the future would be wise to put back a good supply of gas for himself and for his family. And we're going to talk about that in this video. One of the things we've used for years is these European surplus, or you see them sometimes listed as NATO surplus gas cans. These are a heavy-duty metal gas can. We'll show in a clip at the end of the video one that was actually partially ran over by a bulldozer that actually still holds fuel. So these things are pretty darn durable. This is actually one of the better types that you'll see, or conditions that you'll see sometimes when you get them from the surplus store or from some of the online surplus dealers and such. They'll come in a little bit worse than this, with a little bit more rust and things like that. This is actually one of the better ones that I've seen, and I have a handful of them, we'll just say. Anywho, there's a couple of things you can do. Once you get these, you need to rinse them out really good. Get you some cheap gas, or preferably some older gas if you have it. Of course, there's no such thing as cheap gas anymore. Rinse it out once or twice and such. When you get to about your second or third rinse, of course, just fill up maybe a quarter or so of the can itself. Shake it around really good on the inside, things like that. Do that 2 or 3 times, and probably your third time, pour it into a bucket. See what comes out. See if there's little floaties and pieces of rust and things like that. That'll give you a good indication on the inside quality of the can and such, whether it needs to be treated. There's different things you might find in the automotive section of a store or something where it's designed to help leaks in vehicle fuel tanks and such. You might try that as well too. But to be honest, if you have one that has a leak, I'd just pitch it, or do something else with it. Send it back, preferably. They should at least hold fuel. The major problem with these is they will rust on the outside, as you can see here and such. The little surface rust isn't too bad, but if you let it go unchecked, and I've done this with some of mine to test them, it can be a problem. So what you want to do is you want to start off by sanding the thing down on the outside real heavy. This is, of course, after you've checked the interior and such, like we just talked about. Sand it down really heavy, and you can paint it and or use a product like this. This is a rubberized undercoating. This is a spray undercoating like people would use for undercoating their car and such. People buy new cars and the dealership will offer you, oh, we can do you an undercoating for $400. Well, guess what? You can go and buy 3 or 4 bottles of this, which is basically the same stuff, at your local Walmart. Spend about $30, go to somebody's parking lot, and climb up under your car in old clothes and spray down the interior, the undercarriage of your car. It's going to be the same thing, and you're going to stick $300 or $400 in your pocket instead of in the dealership's pocket. So what you can do is, again, after you've painted it and such like that, after you've sanded it down well, is you can spray this rubberized undercoating on this. The end result is going to look a little bit more like this here, and this is one that we've done that to, especially here recently and such. Now these things, when they're protected in this sort of way, they will, you can leave them outside and things like that. I wouldn't do that as a general rule, but if you forget about them outside for a day or two, at least they're not going to look all terrible, rusted out and such. When you're storing your fuel, it's very important that you use a good preservative to keep your fuel fresh and such. I've been using for years this product. It's called PRI. That's the name of the company also that makes it. It's a complete gasoline treatment. This is a pint size, and it treats 256 gallons. That's a lot of fuel, guys. So I usually just use it's got one of the little deals where you squeeze the center and the fuel comes up into that little compartment there, excuse me, the preservative does, so you can measure it out in smaller batches. You do not have to use it all at once for the entire 256 gallons. And pour that into your fuel cans. I do it usually before I go and get fuel, and then as the fuel goes in, it gets mixed really well. Now this will also work good on ethanol blends, so you can use it with the ethanol blends and things like that. There is also a version called PRI-D. D being for diesel. I've used that with some off-road diesel that I purchased in 1999. It is still firing and chugging away fine in some heavy equipment and a diesel generator and such. So this stuff really does work. Now, as far as with the gas PRI, typically we get about a 2-year rotation on it. I've honestly never tried any longer than that. I should. But now that's running good in 2 late model fuel-injected vehicles without a problem. So the other thing that they claim about PRI is it can actually rejuvenate old gas. So in other words, you have some gas and it's been sitting around for years and it won't fire. You can add some PRI to it to kind of bring the life back into it. I don't know about that. I've never done that. You can also see where that would be a great barter item, because if you think about it, especially early on, folks are going to have little bits of gas here and there in their, you know, in their lawnmowers and in their cars and stuff like that, and you know, they're going to want to preserve it. So that'd be something that you could buy this this pint, divide it into little, say, aspirin bottle sizes, you know, that maybe gets, you know, does 10 or 20 gallons or something like that, and trade it to folks or give it to folks that you know that need to protect their fuel. Jumping around here, but nozzles for these cans. Some of the earlier cans, they didn't have good nozzles, and the story was supposedly they had to have some literally made in the U.S. that fit these cans. I keep about 6 of these nozzles hanging on a rack by my fuel stuff, for the simple reason is that that one nozzle might fit one can great and might leak like a sieve out of another can. So I always have it where I can switch the nozzles and such. So when, you know, again, these are $3-4 for the nozzles typically. Don't chintz out on them. You know, test them when you get them. You might need to have a couple of them, you know, especially if you have, say, 10 different cans and things like that. The other thing I have here too, this is called a jiggler, this hose type contraption, and what this is this is for siphoning fuel, and we're not advocating you go and jack your neighbor's fuel or anything like that, but there might be times that you need to transfer some fuel, and instead of sitting there sucking on it, you know, getting a mouthful of gas, you can use this device. It's called a jiggler. You stick the one end in and you just up and down like that, and it will start moving the liquid. The one last thing, we want to keep this just a one video, so I'm talking fast here, is when you go to rotate your fuel, what I always like to do is I get a little bottle of that octane booster. It's in the same area of the automotive department where you're going to find like the fuel injectant cleaner and things like that, and I'll put just a little bit of the octane booster in the older gas when we're rotating it. Now, I don't know if that helps, I don't know if that's really doing anything or not, but it's good peace of mind if nothing else. And if it has lost some octane in storage, well, you're replacing it right there. Anywho, gas has dropped in price a little bit. Down here it's $2.89. I mean, heck, it's practically free, right? But that's a joke, by the way. But so get out and rotate your gas, or get started on your gas storage. Very important to be able to have enough, figure out what you need to get to your bug out location or get away from the cities, and add 10 or 15% to that. If you figure it's going to take you 20 gallons to get to your bug out location or your hide or whatever, get those 20 gallons and then put another, you know, say 4 or 5 gallons aside. That way, if you end up sitting in a you know, traffic and things like that, running your engine, which happens a lot during the hurricanes and that, you won't be cut short, and you won't run out of any fuel or have to deal with any fuel shortages. For Robert Henry and the Survival Report, we thank you for watching. Have a good day.